We're here with Danny Cottrell from the Bruton Medical Center Pharmacy in Bruton, Alabama. Hi, Danny.
How are you doing?
I'm great. So we're here because of your amazing story of $2 bills. So we'll get to that in a minute. First, we're going to ask you the same set of questions that we've been asking folks all around the country. And as I've been saying to folks, you can either answer it, not answer it in any way that you like.
Okay.
So how old are you?
I'm 52.
Okay. And do you have a political orientation?
I'm more of an independent.
Okay. And how about religion or religious affiliation?
Baptist.
Baptist. And your job title here in Bruton? Or titles?
Well, I would be the president and I'm part owner of Medical Center Farms.
Okay. And you're involved in a couple of community organizations as well, right?
Kiwanis Club and our local church.
And you're getting ready for your Blueberry Festival.
We are.
Okay.
We are. It's quite a little venture. We've been doing it for 30 years here.
That's great. Well, I hope good weather for you.
It'll be hot.
Is it ever not hot here in June?
No, it's like a sauna here in June, July, and August.
Sure. And can you just orient us? Where are we?
We're about 55 miles above Pensacola, Florida, about an hour from the Gulf of Mexico.
Okay, great. And Mr. Cottrell, can you talk about your role, how you see your role in this community?
Well, being the only independent pharmacy in town, it's a unique business, and it's very important to the elderly, and it was very important like during the Medicare Part D when nobody knew what drug plan to sign up for. But also I'm on the Bruton Development Authority, and anything that is good to help the development of Bruton ultimately helps the development of my business. And so we've tried to make the store very active in schools, very active in local projects, anything that tries to build up Bruton. And so we try to be very community involved.
Great. And can you talk about the relationship you have with the local independent community here in Bruton?
Well, it's very good. Like I was telling you, I grew up here and know most of them. Shopped a lot of these places when I was a teenager, and I buy my stuff from them, and they buy their stuff from me, and so it's in my best interest to make sure they do well. But we've got a very good relationship, and we've tried to do some things together, and just did our 20 on the 20th, which was a good buy local program.
Great. And now I think it's a great time for us to talk about the reason why I've traveled here to Bruton. So I've heard a few different terms: the local stimulus, the people's stimulus, the $2 bill pharmacist. Why don't you tell everyone why I'm here?
Well, I guess we sort of had a story that took on a life of its own, but we are in an area with a lot of wood products, forest industries that is hurting right now because construction being down nationwide, and so there were a lot of people being laid off. And I was trying to do something to make my employees think, hey, there's no worry, we're not going anywhere. But our business was down a little bit, nothing to get upset about. I wasn't worried about it. But when you get these times to where you're not too busy, and they've just heard 15 were laid off here or 20 there, and they start talking, my employees start talking to each other, they want to know who's going to get laid off first. So I really didn't want them looking around, and so I came up with this idea I was following what they were doing with the stimulus. I was going to give them a bonus, and I said, well, how can we do it to help them, help local? And when we got through the final plan, it was I paid my full-time employees $700 and my part-time ones $300, and I gave it to them in $2 bills. And I told them, you got to spend it locally, preferably with locally owned businesses, and give 15% to somebody needed it worse than you did. And they were stunned. You know, I think they thought they were going to get fired. We called a meeting because I got 24 employees, and by the time we got them all together, a couple of them done made themselves sick, and so, but the story took on a life of its own, and it's been really neat. I ended up on NBC News and Fox News and Fox and Friends, and even made the National Enquirer, so I guess
You did not.
I did.
Please tell me what the story was about.
Oh, I'll show it to you.
Okay, great, great. I didn't know that first part of the story. Can you tell me what the feeling in the room was after you told them what was really happening?
Well, they just sort of stared at each other, and when the first one started crying, the rest of them just, started crying all along. They were pretty much just speechless, but
Sure.
They had a nice little squall.
And, I can only imagine, that must have been one of the best moments for you as a business owner.
It would be hard to beat that. It has just really been, and the employees did a good job. They tried to spread it around. Had one guy that, needed 2 mattresses, bought one from 2 different places so he could spread it around.
Is that right?
So, they did a good job.
Right. And I just came from one of your local restaurants. Had the opportunity to ask some folks there if they've been seeing $2 bills. And they've been seeing them.
Yeah. Bruton's a town of 5,500 and, $16,000 worth of $2 bills floating around. You're going to see something.
That's great.